pop up. Sorry about that. This hard-headed smartphone locked up, and I had to switch phones. I had to switch internet, everything. I had to start all over from scratch. So, hopefully, those of you will look for me again. Like I said, fam, when you have the true, authentic word of the living God talked about, the enemy will manifest all kinds of things to stop the word from going forth. People, like I said, arguing outside the door, people blowing smoke in the room, internet going out, power going out. If you ever watch, Chris at Global Rapture Watchers. So I got everything back now. So picking up where we left off, and see, the enemy did that for a very specific reason. The enemy knows that if the message is incomplete, it's going to throw people off. That's exactly why. That's exactly why the enemy attacked that message. Because at the point where I was explaining that the Apostle Thomas had not been saved yet, the enemy cut that message off, and now that message, unless you watch part 2, is going to be confusing. Okay? So, in any case, the Apostle Thomas said, I will not believe. I will not believe unless I put my finger in his hands and in his side. So Jesus, the resurrected Christ, comes back down for a visitation with the apostles. He walks right through the wall or the door, which technically in a resurrected body is possible because we're all made out of atoms and there's space in between the atoms. So technically it is possible. Not in our current state, but in a resurrected state, that is possible. Theoretically possible. So in any case, Jesus tells Thomas, he says, go ahead and put your finger in my hands and my side so that you may believe. Okay? Let's find that now. KJV, Thomas, fingers, hands, believe. All right. John 20:27. So, I like Bible Gateway. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, we've seen the Lord. But he said to them, except I shall see in his hands the nail prints, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side. That's very crude. That's very crude, by the way. I will not believe. So after 8 days, his disciples were together, and Thomas was with them. Jesus came, the doors being shut, stood in the midst, and said, peace be unto you. Okay? So Jesus has come back. This is post-resurrection. Jesus has come back. That he saith unto Thomas, now up to this point, Thomas is not saved. He's an apostle, but he's not saved. Okay? Just like Judas was an apostle, but he was not saved. So he says to Thomas, Thomas, reach hither thy finger and behold my hands. Reach hither thy hand, thrust it into my side, and be not faithless but believing. Because see, some people what this verse talks about is people who claim that Jesus had a spiritual resurrection only. That's what this is talking about and addressing those people that claim that Jesus had a spiritual resurrection only. No, he had a bodily physical resurrection. So in doing so, Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my God. Now at that point, Thomas is a believer. At that point, Thomas is saved and on his way to the kingdom of heaven. Now Jesus said unto him, Thomas, because you've seen me and thou hast believed. Let me go back over that. Jesus saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, you believe. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet believe. Okay? So Thomas is not a heavy hitter in the kingdom of God. He's not a heavy hitter in the kingdom of God. So let me see, just for schnitz and giggles. How did the Apostle Thomas die? The king Mistius was infuriated when Thomas converted the queen Tertia, the king's son, Jusana's sister-in-law, Princess Magdonia, and her friend Marcia. Mistius led Thomas outside the city and ordered 4 soldiers to take him to the nearby hill where they speared him, killing him. Now notice the way that Thomas met his end. He demanded to put his hand into the spear-pierced side of Christ the King, and that's how he met his fate, was being pierced by the spear. I don't think that is circumstantial. All right. So the Bible is very specific. It's very balanced. A lot of things that people do come back to them. And that's why you want to be careful. You want to be careful with your words. You want to be careful with your actions and your deeds. You don't want to sow the seeds that the enemy can use to come back and get you with. A lot of people being very careless. Actually, it's like handing the devil a baseball bat and allowing him to hit you with it. So I find that very, very interesting. I find that very interesting that that Thomas met his fate that way after he had made a demand of the Lord to put his hand into the side of Jesus. So, all right. Maryland's first luxury dome glamping site opens. Renovated Bumblebee Park and camping along with beehive domes. Maryland's first geodesic dome glamping destination See, they want everybody intense. They're taking everything from away from people. Like Klaus Schwab said, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's because the politicians have sold it right out from under our feet. It's the one time I agreed with Louis Farrakhan when Farrakhan said Americans are living in houses on land that they don't own anymore because the politicians have given it away. Why do you think that Joe had all of those dealings with the Dragon Country? You know, sending all of that fuel over to China, 50 million barrels. How much? Let me see exactly whether it was 5 million or 50 million barrels. Um, Amount Strategic Reserve, Joe, China. So, uh, I know it was more than a million barrels. It was at least 5 million barrels. Okay. At least 5 million barrels. So that's 5 million times 50 or 55 gallons, whatever in a barrel. So that is oil that we cannot easily replace without fracking. I'm not a big proponent of fracking because it's taking water and pumping it into a well to push out oil. So you're trading one for the other. It's like when we make ethanol with corn, we're losing water to make ethanol. And water is a precious commodity now, especially especially with CERN pushing the Earth's ionosphere out into space, endangering the planet, because that's why Mars has no water. Mars has no magnetic core like the Earth. And so the water all went out into the solar winds, allowing him to hit you with it. So I find that very, very interesting. They have a long time lag on my channel. I guess that way they can push a button in case I tell any national secrets or anything like that. But this country, I love my country, but this country has been betrayed so many times. It's like uh, it's like our beautiful country has suffered a death by 1,000 cuts. Any case, I'm going to go. I will put this down as a part two to the hangout, and I hope that you all are blessed. I hope you have cookouts with your families. And again, my deepest, sincerest thanks to all of the service people, past, present, and future, that have helped secure America's freedom. Bye bye.